So what we're going to be doing today is we're going to be just designing these 4 landscapes here. Well, I'm going to show you how to create them. Really simple. And what we did is just start off with a sketch. So you can see here, all I did was import the sketch. When I'm doing a sketch, I always try and do, a landscape or portrait. So I'll draw a box, and then you can see how I've done the layout. And I'll just do really rough sketches. You can reiterate on the sketches if you want to make it more refined, but I prefer to leave it rough. And that's what I've done. Took a picture with my iPhone 5 and then uploaded it via Dropbox or email. And then from there, you can see I picked 4 ones that I liked and the ones that I thought was going to work well. And then I just brought it into Illustrator and just built these out like this. And then I used 4 different color palettes to create a nice look. So you can see that they turned out pretty cool. And you can always add more detail or keep it minimal. I went for a minimal look and played around with the palettes and shapes. So I really like this one. And yeah, so what we're going to do is going to build these out. So what I'm going to do first up is I'm going to add an artboard. So you can click this little artboard tool down here and you can actually just drag an artboard out like that. And what I like to do is change the sizing, which you can do up here. So you can see you got the width and the height. We might just do the normal 1920p or 1080p. That's usually a nice size there. I'm just going to bring down my sketch here. And we're going to use this as a reference. So you can actually bring the sketch in and you can puff it up if you want to copy it completely, or you can just leave it on the side. We'll just use this first one here. I'll just make it really big. Like that. I'm also going to put it on a separate layer. So you can see I've already put it on a layer. To create a new layer, you can just go to the bottom here and make a new layer and call it sketch. That's how you make a new layer. I'm just going to delete that with the bin as well. But you can see I want to select this and then change the opacity to around 70%, maybe 50%. And I'm going to lock this layer. And then what I'm going to do, I'm going to put another layer. Just ignore this top layer. I'm going to create a new layer and call it design or landscape 1. That. I'm just going to rename this layer with the landscapes on it. I'm going to lock that one. And what we're going to do, we're going to build over this layer here. So we've got our sketch on the bottom there, and you can turn it off with the eyeball to make it non-visible. But I can go in here and start building the shapes out. So you can see these are all basic shapes. You can see you've got some triangular shapes, some rectangles, circles, and then just some other diagonal shapes here. So what I usually do is just start off by using shapes. So you can see here, we're going to try and build the background first. So we've got the ocean here. And I'm going to press M for the rectangle tool. If you right click on these shape tools here, you can go and click this little arrow. And you're going to get these tools up. So what we can do is use any of these shapes, rectangle, ellipse, star, whatever you want. We've got the rectangle here. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to drag a nice section down here. And I'm going to play around with the gray tones first because I don't want to use colors yet. I want to get the tones right and the values right. And you can see how I want the edges a bit different. So I'm going to make another shape here on the top. I'm going to go to Effect, Distort Transform, and we're going to go to Zigzag. What this does is going to, cool effect, we're going to get like a nice effect. If you want more ripples in the ocean, you can put the ripples up. And you want to make sure that it's on smooth as well. We'll keep it back on absolute. You can see you can play around. If you want more waves, then you can increase this. And you can see there. That's fine. I might add a bit more. Okay, that's looking fine. Leave it on smooth, press OK. And you can see we've got our waves here. So you can actually drag it down here. And now we have our water. So if we add the blue, you can see it looks like a wave. But what we're going to do, you can see how on the side here, it's stuffed it up. Or it's added some extra rivets that we don't want. What we're going to do, we're actually going to expand this out. So I'm going to go to Object, Expand Appearance. So now you can see the effect is pretty much gone. It's one shape. I can select these 2 shapes and we're going to unite it with the Pathfinder tool. So if you go to the Pathfinder tool by going Window, Pathfinder, you can actually click this first button, which is Unite. And that's going to unite all this one shape together like that. And then we can go along here and we can just delete these points by using the direct selection tool. Select them, delete, and then just select these two anchor points and press Control or Command J, and that will join the lines up there. So we've got that, and then we'll do the same for the other side. Just select the anchor points and then join these 2 points like that. You want to keep it clean so it's easier to use later on. So there we've got our wave, which is pretty sweet. You can move it out of the way if you want, if it's blocking the stuff, but what you can do is just use the stroke. I'm going to flip it from a stroke to... Sorry, I'm going to flip it from a fill to a stroke. And then you can see that it's there. And then I'm going to build the other elements now. So I'm going to press M for the rectangle tool, build this out. And then with the direct selection tool, you can actually get these points and drag it out. If I'm holding shift there, you can see it adds that nice angle. And I'm just using the sketch as a reference to make a little boat. And then to get these nice little points in the water to show a bit of movement, I can just make a stroke with the pen tool. So P for the pen tool, and you can actually just click and it will make a path, or we call it a stroke. So we've got that, and then I'm going to change the color of this so we can see how our shapes are looking. Might make it a bit smaller there. Awesome. And then what I'm going to do for this bottom bit, I'm going to press L for the ellipse tool. It's also in the middle one here. And we can play around, and we're going to create like a hill. And then what I'm going to do is select this bottom of the hill, and then we're going to drag this out like that. Make sure it's connected. So we've got a bit of a hill now. And what I'm going to do is start to draw this nice little grass section, or it can be like a moss. I'm going to select these both, and then what I'm going to do is press Shift M for the shape builder tool. And when you hold Alt, it actually makes it minus the shape. So I'm going to hold Alt, minus that off like that. Now we just have these two shapes here. So if I select this bit and make it lighter so you can see you've got these two shapes like that. And that's how I built the hill. Then I'll bring it off to the side, and then maybe I want to cut it off. Just move that. You can actually create a shape like this, which is a cutaway shape. And what I can do is select these together, back to the shape builder tool by pressing Shift M again, holding Alt and minusing that off just like that. So now we can see we're starting to get a bit of perspective, starting to get out these elements here. Then I can select it, hold Shift, and actually drag out the transformer and make it bigger if I want. So it's starting to come together slowly. And I'm just going to bring that to the back. So you can see that we've got our water. And now we're going to build these background elements. So the ellipse tool with the L, you can see we're going to build this sun here. Oh, actually, we'll put the sun at the top like we did before. And I'll make this darker. Whenever you hold Alt and Shift, it actually will keep the proportion. So you can see if I do it with this circle, but if I don't hold Shift and Alt, it's going to just be a bit more wild. So if you want it to be symmetric, then it's best to hold Shift and Alt, which constrains the proportions. So keep that in mind when you're doing that, when doing a sun or something like that. And then I'm going to go back to the pen tool, and we're going to create these nice little mountains or hills. It's okay if the paths don't match up because we're going to put it behind anyway. So you can see, I'm just going to put it behind by pressing Control Shift left square bracket, or you can go to Object, and then from here you can go Transform, or you can go Arrange, and you can go Bring to Front or Bring to Back. So center back or center front, and that will help you create the layers and make it go behind the objects. So I'm just creating these shapes here. Doesn't have to be perfect. Yeah, I'm just going to make sure we're doing that. Sometimes it might lag a bit, but now I'm just going to change the colors so we can see what's happening. So I'm just setting these back. And you can see there we've got our hills or our mountains and our sun at the back here. And awesome. So just by using simple shapes, you can create a simple scene. And once you add color, it will look awesome. And it's really nice to get some landscapes. With landscapes, it's really can be a challenge trying to get the right perspective. But when you play around, try and look for angles or like an open shots, and try and use things to your advantage, like what's in the foreground and what's in the background. You know, is there trees, are there bushes, is there rocks, is there mountains, is there like a cliff or something, and you can just add those elements in and it's going to create a nice effect. So what we're going to do, we're going to add this palm tree. You can actually go to Freepik as well and go palm tree, and they have amazing vectors and awesome elements you can use, great resources. So I can come in here if I want and even find a palm tree, and you can even get these free ones, which is pretty awesome. So we'll try, this one looks good. This one in the corner here looks pretty nice. So what you can actually do is free download, and I'm gonna get that, and we'll go back to Illustrator. And just doing this saves time. So when you're in a rush or you're working with a client, you know, it's okay to use things that are going to speed up the process instead of building it from scratch. So I'm just going to refresh. So I'm just going to double click on the file. And what I'm going to do is select the tree now. I'm going to ungroup these and I'm just going to drag it out. Control C and Control V to copy it in. So I'm going to just scale this up. And you can see we don't want these highlights or shadows. So I'm just going with the direct selection tool. With the shortcut to select that is A. I'm just clicking and holding shift and then just deleting them all. And we can just make this all one color. Like that. And then what I can do is just make sure they're grouped, so they're all grouped. I can just bring this in like that. And then what we can do, we can make a clipping mask. So I'm going to press M, or we can even cut it off like we did before. So you can see you've got this shape here. I can select the tree now, holding shift, select this, and then the shape builder tool will minus that out. And same thing for the bottom here, because sometimes it can be irritating when it's there. And then yeah, just gonna edit this like that, make it clean and simple. And there we have a palm tree. We've got our nice little landscape there, and what we're going to do is we're going to now color it. So what we're going to do now, we're going to color it. So you can see we've done a nice grayscale image, and what this helps us to do is to help us see where our dark tones are and where our light tones are. So it really helps us to see that and create values and tones. So you can see the dark color is going to be like towards the back and the light at the front. And you can see you've got multiple palettes. We use the blue palette for this one, so that's the one I'm going to use. So first up, I'm going to select and click on the swatches you want. And then we can go ahead. Make sure these strokes are on the stroke and not on the fill there. And what I like to do with strokes is I like to go to my stroke panel and then round those off. Then you can play around with the stroke weight as well to create dimension. You know, create some variety with the strokes. And then we've got the hill here. Palm tree. So you can see this color palette I'm using only has 4. Sometimes, you know, you can use palettes that have more than 4 colors. Like you can see those other ones have more. And it's really going to help you out. So what I usually like to do, if I have this one color, I want to expand it out. So if I go to color guide, you can see if I click this menu, if you don't know how to open color guide, you can go to window, and then it should be the 7th one around here. And you can actually click on these menus, and you got all these color groupings. So you got compound, You know, you got complementary, monochromatic, everything. So you can actually go to shades here. And then what I can do, if I click this little button in the right bottom corner there, it's going to add these new 4 shades to my swatch panel. So you can see it's using this color and it's making shades of that one color we picked. So now I can go in here, because I've got 4 shapes, I can just do this. I'll try and make these ones a bit brighter, like that. And then I'll make the back, bring that to the back, and then we'll do this light. We can probably just add a nice color there. It's probably better to do it like this way. You can even go to color as well and just, you know, make it lighter. So, or darker by doing this, adding a bit of black. I'm going to select this color, do it again, make it slightly more lighter. So there we got the layer, and you can see the reason why I'm making these ones lighter in the back is because the sun's there. So you know these ones will be lighter compared to these ones here near the water. I'm actually going to change this to possibly a brown. Change these strokes. And then make it bigger again. And I'm just playing around. You know, you're always just tweaking, going through. Adding details as you go along. So we've got this. Maybe we should leave out the white. And this one should be a bit darker as well. Make sure when you add the colors that it's on the fill, not the stroke. Some colors aren't going to work, so you're going to have to edit those. Maybe even this might have to be darker. If I click this drop down menu, you can actually get the CMYK up, and I can actually edit these bars again. So maybe I want to make that darker. And yeah, so there we have it. We've got our landscape, and took us pretty... So yeah, there we have it. We've got our landscape there. We've done our first one, and I'll show you how to create these other ones. You can see there it was a bit different from this one, but you can see by creating simple palettes and simple shapes, you can create a nice little landscape. And then, you know, we can go ahead and add detail if you want, but I might show that in a later video.